Now to day 6 of the sentencing for Larry Nassar. We've seen more than 100 victims share their heartbreaking stories.
And today we got a look into what the parents of these women have been going through. Nick Monticelli live in Lansing tonight. Nick, the guilt that many of them feel is just unimaginable.
Unbearable in some ways, Devin, but if you look behind me, there is a show of support for all of these victims and their families, and we'll talk more about them a little bit later on. But for some of these parents, the victims themselves had to remind them it is not their fault. And as we heard from a lot of those victims today and their families, the number we heard from was close to 150.
Your priority should have been my health, yet your priority was solely to molest me.
Day 6 in Lansing, and there is no letting up as the survivors of Nassar continue describing the horrific things that happened to them. Some flew all the way from Seattle.
I am here today to tell you I wasn't afraid of you then, and I'm sure as hell not afraid of you now.
But there is another story emerging. The secondary victims, the parents.
I will never forget the day that she said that Larry had done this to her.
Ann Swinehart spoke today, whose daughter, Jillian, is 15 years old now.
I willingly took my most precious gift in this world to you, and you hurt her physically, mentally, and emotionally. And she was only 8.
That pain is the same pain every parent here feels, the overwhelming guilt they can't resolve.
The burden that I will carry from that is bigger than any prison sentence that you are facing.
And as difficult as it is for us as parents, we know it is nothing compared to what these young women are going through.
You aren't alone in this, and you need to help your daughter as you have been, and I've heard that in your voice. The only way to do that is to forgive yourself.
Now, as for the sentencing itself, there are only 3 victims, 3 survivors left to speak. That is Rachel Denhollander, Kayla Lorenz, and Sterling Reithman. They are going to speak together tomorrow morning before Nassar is sentenced. But Devin, you can only see every day that we go through this, there is another layer, another chapter in this story. You hear about all the pain they are going through, the suicide attempts, and now what the parents have gone through.
It's unlike anything most of us have ever seen, Nick. I'm wondering now that we're starting to get closer to the end here, do we have any idea whether Nassar is going to speak publicly?
He is allowed to if he so chooses. I talked to his defense attorney this afternoon. He said that his client has gone back and forth on it, and as of about 3 o'clock, he had not decided yet if he was going to speak, but he is allowed to.
Yeah. All right, Nick. Once again, by the way, today the live stream of this sentencing has been by far our most viewed item on clickondetroit.com. If you missed any part of today, you can go back and look at a complete recap, and it'll be there when you tune in tomorrow when court is back in session.